Question 3. John bought apples and oranges. If apples were $1.30 each and oranges were $1.70 each, how many apples did he buy? Condition 1. He spent a total of $9 on apples and oranges. Condition 2. The number of apples bought was equal to the number of oranges bought. Solution. Now let's solve this DS question using the variable approach. Remember the relationship between positive integers and relatively prime numbers. If m and n are relatively prime numbers, then they have no common factor other than 1. If m and n are relatively prime numbers, and x, y, and z are positive integers, then there can be often only one pair, x and y, such that m times x plus b times y equals z. Let's apply the 3 steps suggested previously. Follow the first step of the variable approach by modifying and rechecking the original condition and the question. We have to find the number of apples that John bought if John bought apples and oranges costing $1.30 each and $1.70 each, respectively. Let the number of apples bought be A and the number of oranges bought be R. The question can be converted into a separated 2x2 table. This type of question frequently appeared on the most recent GMATs. Let's use data from the question to fill in the table below. This is a very good question. You should be able to get this one right. Number of apples or oranges bought. Apples A. Oranges R. Unit cost for apples $1.30. For oranges $1.70. Follow the second and third steps. From the original condition, we have 2 variables, A and R. To match the number of variables with the number of equations, we need 2 equations. Since conditions 1 and 2 will provide 1 equation each, C is about 70% likely to be the answer. Recall 3 principles and choose C as the most likely answer. Let's take a look at conditions 1 and 2 together. Conditions 1 and 2 tell us that 1.3 times A plus 1.7 times R equals 9, and A equals R. Substituting A equals R into 1.3 times A plus 1.7 times R equals 9 gives us 1.3 times A plus 1.7 times A equals 9. So, 3 times A equals 9, and A equals 3. So John bought 3 apples. Since the answer is unique, the conditions combined are sufficient by CMT2, which states that the number of answers must be 1. C seems to be the answer. However, since this question is a hidden integer question, which is one of the key question types, we need to apply tip 4, which states that if a condition is too trivial, it may not be the answer. Therefore, C may not be the answer. We apply CMT 4A, which states that if you get C as the answer too easily, you should also consider A and B as possible answers. Therefore, let's check each condition separately. Condition 1 tells us that 1.3 times A plus 1.7 times R equals 9. If we multiply both sides by 10, we get 13 times A plus 17 times R equals 90. Since 13 and 17 are relatively prime numbers, and x and y are positive integers, there is only one pair, A and R, equal to 3 and 3, that satisfies the equation. We find A and R by substituting R equals 1, 2, 3, and so on into 13 times A plus 17 times R equals 90. The answer is unique, and the condition is sufficient by CMT2, which states that the number of answers must be 1. Why do you think the question mentions $1.30 and $1.70 among all the numbers that are possible? It is because 13 and 17 are relatively prime numbers. The given prices are $1.30 and $1.70 to make A the correct answer. Condition 2 tells us that A equals R, We cannot determine the exact values of A and R. So, the condition is not sufficient by CMT2, which states that the number of answers must be 1. If both C and A appear to be possible answers, then A is always the answer rather than C by the definition of DS questions. This question is a 50 to 51 level question that can be solved using the relationship between the variable approach and common mistake types 3 and 4, A or B. In this particular case, you should pay close attention to the relationship between the positive integers and relatively prime numbers. If the given prices are relatively prime numbers, and if the total cost is not too high, like $9 in this case, it is likely that the condition would be the answer. This is a very good 50 to 51 level question, and you should get it right. Condition 1 alone is sufficient. So, A is the correct answer. Answer: A.